The following is a production of WEGL 91.1 FM.
That ball is gone. It's a walk-off home run for Stephen Williams.
WEGL Sports,
The Tigers are headed to the College World Series.
where every
Touchdown Auburn! Zakoby McClain!
game
They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow!
lives. Strap in. It's time for the Extra Point, Auburn's best sports talk radio show, Auburn's only sports talk TV show.
He better count basketball wins.
Your three-time nationally nominated sports show.
Oh, yeah.
And they signed Cody Parkey.
SEC champion, Cody Parkey.
I picked Pitt, and I was right. Your three-time nationally nominated sports show, the guys give you the latest.
Penn State.
By a million.
Thank you.
Trade.
John Gruden cried after he traded Khalil Mack, and now he's dancing in the locker room, saying he wish he had a disco.
Call in at 334-844-9345 to join the debate. My boy got it
I
on
thought
lock.
you were saying 1,800 yards in this game. I was like, Jared.
The X's and O's begin now on Eagle Eye TV and WEGO Radio. The Extra Point presented by WEGO Sports, where every game lives. And welcome inside the Extra Point here on WEGO 91.1 and Eagle Eye TV. Hello everybody, Jared Doan, and joining me from wherever they may be is Amanda Warren, Levi Fitzwater, and Javon Cutler. Amanda, we'll start with you. How is Texas?
It's good.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know. What do you want me to say?
Oh no, I was about to say, how's quarantine life?
I go on a run / walk every day. That's my physical activity. We're under shelter in place, so we can't leave for non-essential stuff. So, in my house. Well, yesterday was my birthday, so that was kind of interesting, having quarantine birthday.
Uh-oh.
Fun.
I know I forgot something.
I don't think you know when my birthday is, Jared. It's okay.
No, Facebook told me, but yesterday
it
was a
did?
blur. Facebook did tell me. And I remember that. Uh-oh. Well, before this gets any more awkward, Levi, how are you doing?
Good. I've thoroughly enjoyed the semi-quarantine life. I mean, a lot of cleaning the house, playing video games, sleeping. So, I stay up really late, and it's very nice to just stay up till 6 and then wake up. I don't have to drive to campus anymore. That 40-minute trip turned into me rolling over, grabbing my laptop, and laying in bed for class. So, that's pretty cool.
And finally, Javon, how you doing? You staying in it?
Yeah, I'm staying in it. Still here in Georgia. I just got the news that our governor ordered a statewide shelter in place and schools are closed for the rest of the year. So I guess we're under that situation now as well, as Georgia's gotten really bad as far as the coronavirus. But I'm staying safe. I mean, kind of like Amanda, I'm staying in shape by running and walking and stuff like that. So it's not really much to do besides just that and just check my schoolwork and whatnot. So, because I can't play my PS4 because I left it in Auburn. So,
Oh,
it's
no.
pretty lonely.
You're going to go do a rescue mission and get it back.
I'm gonna have to. I feel like. I mean, it's only a 2-hour drive, so I could do it. It's just am I motivated enough, one day to get out and actually drive to Auburn to do it?
Yeah.
Aw.
For me, you may see the mess in the back. That's only because I have an exam in an hour, and I have to take it right after this show, and I'm dreading it, and I don't want to do it, but I have to do it anyway. So, yeah, that's kind of how life is going. But as long as I get past these exams, I'll have a master's degree in my hand, so there's that. But let's go ahead and get into it. This Monday, Wednesday, Friday crew. Let's go ahead and start with some news from yesterday coming in, and I just want to get everybody's opinion on it. The NFL expanding its playoff format. So pretty much adding a third wild card team to each conference, making it 14 teams total, 7 on each conference, and I just want to get your opinions on that.
I mean, the Cowboys are loving it. I mean, they're always going to get in now
Oh, no.
at 8-8. Falcons are loving it. They're always going to get in at 7-9. I mean, no, I mean it's fun. I mean, more football, more fun. I mean, people will complain about it and still watch those games. So, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. I love watching sports. So, I mean, it's just an extra football game I get to watch.
Amanda, how about you?
I mean, I'm sort of, I mean, I don't want to say indifferent, but basically, I'm a little, uh, uh, realistic cynicism here. But they just added more games because they want to make more money. But, it's a business. But like you said, Nate Cowboys, good for us. But I don't know. I would rather have shorter seasons than longer seasons. That's just me. But yeah, it's a business decision at the end of the day. They'll just make more money.
Javon?
I'm fine with it. I mean, I think it's a good idea to give people what they want, which is more football. Gives more wild card games, which everybody loves the wild card games because seems like the past few years have been kind of more unpredictable as far as you don't know who's going to win each game. And I think it's a great idea. And also it gives more incentive for everybody to play for that 1 seed because you get that bye for the 2 seed where the 2 seed still has to play in the wild card game now. So I think it's a great move by the NFL and allows people to watch more football and drives up ratings and also, increases revenue. So, yeah.
They get extra games. The 1 seed becomes a lot more prestigious, which may extend the NFL season. And what I mean by that is usually the 1 seed has it locked up in the last 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and they take a break. That may not be happening anymore because they're scared of that. What the 2 seed behind them is doing. Not necessarily it's going to change every year, right? Because the 1 seed may lock it up and they're just far and away above everybody. But that 1 seed, it's evident that they need to hold on to it, especially if they want that first round bye. And if you're the best team in your conference, I think you should get something more than just sharing a bye with the 2 seed. So they got that home field advantage, and you get a week off. Now, as for the NFL, they're still trying to stick to their timeline. They want to still have the draft at the same time, even though some execs are like, I don't know if we can scout everybody adequately in time. The draft is still taking place at the same time, and they still want to shoot for the same start date for the NFL. It might mean the preseason is shortened, which we know that was always talked about, shortening the preseason to 3 or 2 games maybe. But if this whole situation keeps dragging on, there's a chance that the NFL may have to shorten the preseason to at least 3 games, maybe even 2. And I just want to get your guys' thoughts about that with the preseason.
My only concern is with injuries. I don't watch much preseason anyway, but I mean, my biggest concern is with injuries at that point. As long as they feel like it's safe for the players, I mean, do what they have to do. Nobody really watches the preseason, so it's not a big hit for them. It sucks for the people who are down below, like on the roster, like kind of vying for a last roster spot because they don't get as much of a chance to shine. But I mean, at this point, we kind of just have to accept things that have to happen. So if it has to happen, I understand that.
Yeah, I'd be fine with it as far as shortening the preseason because 4 games is too much in my opinion, and the starters only play about a quarter or a series for like the first preseason game, also the second preseason game. The third preseason game is usually when the starters play the most amount, as far as like maybe a whole half or 3 quarters. Then the fourth one, there's no point of really watching it because it's all going to be kind of the second string and third string and the guys who are trying to fight to make the team. So I think if you limit it to 2 or even 3 if you want to, then that makes it a little bit more, I'd say, appetizing to watch for the fans who really do want to watch it. So I think it's a great idea to kind of minimize the games because let's face it, we love football, but we don't really want to see second and third string guys play each other and see like what's going to happen. We want to see like the stars out there and stuff like that. So I think that shortening it makes the, I guess, product better, even though it is a preseason kind of scenario.
That's true. Jack, thank you for joining us on the show. What we were talking about was the NFL's expanded playoffs. 7 per conference, 14 total. And just want to get your thoughts about the expanded NFL playoffs and what that may mean for the new 7 seeds that will be jumping in against 2 seeds from here on out.
Yeah, as far as the additional playoff teams, we're looking at that 7th team getting in. So that'd be I think the you really have to weigh the cost and the benefit of that. Yeah, you're going to get some really crummy teams getting playoffs, and that's what a lot of the detractors would argue. I think under this format, the Steelers of this past season would have been in playoffs, a pretty middling team that probably would have gotten smoked in the first round. But that's exactly why this additional playoff has been added. Of course, playoffs only expand, they never contract, and that's just to incentivize teams to remain competitive throughout the remainder of the season, reduce garbage games, and the NFL has made steps to do that. They made divisional games, the Week 17 games, as well as this additional step. Although this was a move more so by the players, I think the players want to compete for championships, and putting 14 teams in the field is going to give more teams the potential to compete for championships. I think that's why the players would bargain to do this. And I think that the more football we get to watch as a fan, the better. And I think the more playoffs get decided on the field rather than on the stat sheet of point differential and tiebreakers, I think it's better for the game.
So yeah, definitely the NFL changing it up, kind of stealing MLB's thunder because they were also thinking about changing up their playoff system. And well, NFL, more money, more games too, and they're getting fans into it. And those teams, such as last year's Pittsburgh Steelers, or I think off the top of my head, the LA Rams in this situation would have also gotten a playoff spot in the new format. Would it have changed much? Probably not. But hey, you never know. It may be just a year or two from now where we see a 7th seed in Super Bowl, and then, at that point, I guess it was worth it.
Yeah, I would love to have an 8-8 Super Bowl champion.
Well, the Cowboys are here, and they will try their damnedest, believe me. Let's go to some other news. So there was this because, not much going on, but there was a news article from ESPN showing how Lamar Jackson was working out with Antonio Brown. Now, there is a connection here, right? Lamar Jackson, Hollywood Brown, right? Teammates. Hollywood Brown is related to Antonio Brown. Like, there's a connection there. It's not far-fetched. But pretty much everybody, now that the Tom Brady ship has sailed, no pun intended, I actually did not mean that at all. But now that the Tom Brady thing is over, it's now who's the next big free agent to land? Well, we know that Jadeveon Clowney is, for some odd reason, asking for $18 million a year. And I don't know why that's a thing. But the other big name free agent out there is Antonio Brown. So every time he pops up next to somebody related to some team, it's a story. Even through this whole situation with the NFL and pandemics and such, I don't think Antonio Brown lands on a team. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
I agree. I don't think he's going to join it. If he were to go somewhere, the Ravens aren't necessarily a terrible fit. Their receivers were kind of lackluster outside of Hollywood Brown and, Mark Andrews at tight end catching the ball. But, he kind of does the same thing that Hollywood Brown does. So, it might not work out that well. But I just don't see a team that would really sign him. Like, if the Browns haven't done it yet, then I don't think anybody – or the Jets, then I don't think anybody's going to do it.
Yeah, I think he's burned too many bridges as far as NFL career is concerned. It's just been mistake after mistake after mistake. The Raiders burned that bridge. We all know the Patriots, Steelers. I just don't see anybody. Even I know there was some talk that maybe Tom Brady wanted him to join the Bucks, but Bruce Arians really shut that down quickly and was like, no, we don't really need him. We don't have the money for it, even though the Bucks do have the money for it. But just shows you that Arians knows the character of Antonio Brown because Arians was there during the early parts of Antonio Brown's career in Pittsburgh, so he knows how his kind of mentality and stuff like that is. So I think that it's going to be hard for an NFL team to really attach themselves to Antonio Brown unless it's like a really desperate team that's really struggling. But I think they're going to they'd rather have a college receiver than Antonio Brown at this point of his career. And I think that it's a shame that he really damaged his career because he's still a really talented guy. It's just that I don't know if an NFL team really wants to take on that burden of having a diva in the locker room and having all these like off the field problems kind of dragging along with him as well. So I don't know if a team's honestly going to pick up Antonio Brown at this point in his career.
Yeah, he's too much of a liability. I know if I'm a GM or owner, I don't want that, or a coach. I don't want him coming into my locker room and like messing that up. And this year the draft is like really deep in receivers, so I'd rather take a risk on a rookie than some guy who's going to cause a bunch of problems.
Jack?
Definitely. I think once again, you have to weigh the costs and benefits of the situation. And while Antonio Brown is obviously talented, I don't see any amount of on the field production that could make up for what he brings to your organization, good, bad, and ugly, or otherwise. Kind of a situation, Randy Moss, if you can think back to the early 2000s, where he continuously found himself sitting on the bench or off teams because of the off the field. And I think that's kind of a case study, and even exacerbated by Antonio Brown is probably even more liability. It didn't work for Randy Moss. I'm still working for Antonio.
So another news story that popped up in the last 48 hours was the NCAA. And what they did was they granted eligibility to spring sport athletes, which we all saw coming. Spring sports such as baseball and softball. I think track and field may fall under winter, actually, now that I think about it. But for sure, baseball and softball have fallen to the spring category where they granted eligibility. So if you were a senior and you weren't able to finish out the season because of what happened, you can play next year. They got that, extra year of eligibility. Now, we all knew that was going to happen, and we knew that for winter sports, that may have been kind of a shot in the dark. But from yesterday, student athletes from the Power 5 conferences are seeking extra year eligibility in a ESPN article written by Adam Rittenberg. And pretty much, it's not only spring sports. They're looking for, help with housing and things like that, academics, but they're also pushing for winter sport athletes who qualified for postseason but was not able to play it out to get another year of eligibility. So that's the caveat in this push by this group of student athletes for winter sports. So, for example, Auburn, I got to see how they're going to try to put all this in perspective, because there were some conference championships or tournaments that were not played. And at that point, it's like, well, would they have been eligible for postseason? Would South Carolina, who was a decent SEC team, but probably wouldn't have gotten to the tournament, would those seniors qualify as postseason eligible, right? If they ran the table enough to get in. But for argument's sake, Auburn, who should have been a shoo-in for the tournament no matter what happened, Auburn seniors will be granted another year of eligibility under this push by these student athletes. And I just want to get your thoughts about some of these winter sport athletes. And for some of them, they're not gonna take it. Some of them are lottery picks in the NBA draft or WNBA draft, and they don't. I mean, the money's probably going to talk more than another year eligibility. But for a lot of people who are not high in the draft that needed another year, and the postseason was their chance to break out, they may need it. Maybe, like, if we're going for Auburn, for example, I mean, Samir Dowdy, Austin Wiley, Anthony McLemore, those guys could have benefited from a good postseason run, at least draft stock-wise. They're not going to get that choice. What do you guys think about the push for winter sport athletes? Or is it kind of just in vain at this point?
I don't think anything would happen with it. I don't think it's realistic. I think the only thing they would do to the winter sport athletes is if someone lost this year because of an injury or something. Because like what you were saying about it's so hard to determine the postseason success and all that stuff, that's like really vague, and there's a lot that goes into that. So I think the only way that they would let winter sport athletes, because like basically their season was done, which I know is really upsetting for seniors and stuff like that. But I think the only way that they would be able to come back is if they had an injury or something and took them out, and so they'd get another year of eligibility.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen.
I don't think it will happen, but you can obviously see the cause for concern over it, because you're looking at winter sports like basketball, where not even just the regular season was able to be completed. We saw pretty much every conference tournament and, of course, March Madness getting canceled. And at that point, I don't see the claim that the season is completed under those grounds. And that's the only, I think it's a pretty good case for it waivers being established for athletes to go out and have another season, considering they weren't afforded one this year by the NCAA. Yes, they had a good reason to cancel it, but that doesn't change the fact that the season was shortened and I think voided as a result of it. And so I do see it on responsibility of the NCAA to make it up to these athletes.
Javon?
I think, yeah, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. I mean, for spring sport athletes, it's a great thing for them because I know for some of the seniors, like y'all have mentioned, like they might want another shot to perhaps win, for instance, baseball College World Series. And we all know Auburn was so close to winning College World Series last year. So maybe some of these seniors on the team want to, get another shot as far as trying to go back to that process, because we all know it takes a long time as far as the tournament and whatnot to get to that process. But I think for them, they now have a better shot if they want to come back and do that. And then for other sports as well, like I know equestrian, for instance, the most underrated sport on campus, like they were having another great season. They were about to start the, I think, SEC tournament before all this coronavirus stuff happened, but now it's canceled. So they don't have a chance to repeat themselves this year. They could always try next year, but I think some of those athletes would want to come back and try to run it back, as they say. So I think that it would be it's a great thing for spring sport athletes to try to use this advantage that the NCAA is giving them if they want to, and really do, I guess, take care of unfinished business is the best way to put it.
Hey, equestrian, still undefeated, right? Still got that winning streak? That's all that matters at that point. You can go ahead and crown them champions. Are we back-to-back right now? Champions?
I think we are.
Okay. I got to brush up on my Auburn equestrian championships. There's too many. But I believe it's currently back-to-back, and they're going for the three-peat. Or maybe they're going to back-to-back right now. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, it's tough. Maybe they could put in a system to where seniors who want to apply for another year eligibility, and they can take it by case basis. Now, that could be a lot of cases you got to review, right? But you're the NCAA. If you're in charge of 3 different divisions, D1, D2, and D3, plus JUCO and all that, right? If you're in charge of all that, I think you can handle some applications and stuff like that. Like, hire some more people. I don't know, figure it out. But at least give them a fighting chance of, if they really, really wanted it, if they depended on it, give them something. At least even give them a way to apply and you say no. I guess is the best way to put that, right? Speaking of certain events, because Levi's hat tipped it off to me, Masters, we know is postponed for right now. That could be happening in the fall. We'll figure it out. Well, we know that today Wimbledon has been pushed back for the first time since World War II. So there's your Wimbledon fact of the day. So Wimbledon won't be happening at its normal time. But there is a big one that got pushed around, or if they're looking to push it around, and that is the World Series. So there are reports coming out that the MLB is looking at possibly pushing back the postseason date. It wouldn't be the Fall Classic anymore. I guess at that point it may be the Winter Wonderland, because they may be playing the World Series in December. So, I mean, I don't know how baseball is going to figure it out. I think we're going to be looking at a situation where Major League Baseball is definitely going to have to cut down on its 162-game season. I don't think it was this crew that I talked to it about, but I do know about last week there was an article from ESPN asking, could MLB do with a 32-game season? And I scratched my head at that's like 5 series in my head. Like 32 games, that's nothing. Because I think somebody made the great point. It's like, don't the Mets always start it on fire and then tank for no apparent reason? And the Mets would be the 1 seed in the NL and then just fall on their face.
And if you're looking at a reduced season for the MLB, I think maybe the most realistic situation is not having an all-star game and starting the season at the all-star break, which is usually the first weekend of July. That would give you an 81-game season, and I think that would be pretty conducive to a big enough sample size to determine the clear best team. And we got to consider, guys, you're going to have to go back to spring training. can't just jump right back into the game. So we're going to have to probably have spring training in June if this is at least partially mitigated by then. Reports are coming out that we're reaching the peak here in maybe the next 2 weeks or so. So if things are on the decline in June, we could see a kind of closed practice, no fan situation, spring training again in June, pick up first weekend of July and play an 81 game season, and maybe working on the original World Series day. If the World Series is pushed back, we could see probably a 110 game season, pushing the World Series back to late November, early December, if that's the case. And then the bigger question that opens up is what the schedule is going to look like. Is the MLB going to determine a fresh set of schedules for all 30 clubs, or are they just going to play the back half of their originally determined schedule by the league? That brings up a couple of interesting issues when you look at teams that are playing different teams and get to skip out on a bunch of their series earlier in the season. Some would say it's not fair. Some would just say it's a happenstance of the series if a team gets a lucky pull and gets to play a bunch of Tigers and Royals and Mariners, per se, in the AL and chalk up a win total that way while someone else is playing the Yankees, Sox, and Astros.
Yeah, to be fair, last year, for example, the Cardinals' last 40 games, cakewalk. That's how they got into the postseason. And that's how they got hot. They were playing a bunch of teams. And that's their bats heated up, their pitching heated up, and that's how they were able to sneak into the NLCS. When let's be honest, hindsight 2020. I don't think the Cardinals or the Braves were ready for what was about to happen with the Nationals. But the Cardinals got to where they were because the back half of their schedule was so easy. And for some teams, that's going to be the situation. I don't know the Cardinals' schedule. The only thing I know with the Cardinals, what I woke up to this morning and was very depressed, was that they canceled the London series between the Cardinals and the Cubs. So I won't be getting any London baseball, which makes me a sad Cardinals fan. But yeah, I don't know what baseball's going to do. Amanda, what do you think about the World Series maybe getting pushed back or a shortened season for Major League Baseball?
It's definitely different because baseball has so many games. But I think the main thing with the World Series issue is like what Jack was saying is that they still have to do training. And so that's what everyone thinks. I think everyone forgets that they just can't jump into it. But another reason just from like a broadcast like business side is they probably don't want to have to jam all of these big sports things like football and the Masters and baseball like in the fall schedule. Like they just don't have room for that. So I think it's smart if they pushed it back.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday in a doomsday scenario where for whatever reason the NFL had to start late, right? The Super Bowl got pushed from February to March. March Madness is also in March. And in this crazy situation where CBS would just hoard all the big broadcasts with the Masters in April as well. And it would just be crazy. Yeah, I mean, when sports when they eventually do come back, there's going to be this almost like going from winter to spring, a bloom in sports where all these athletes and games pick back up at some point, right? Because we know the NBA is going to pick up at some point, and the NBA is already thinking about, we're going to have a postseason. We don't know when, but it's okay if it's pushed into August, September, October, right? Even if that means that we got to start back in December. Now, Mark Cuban, who has been the biggest voice when talking about this kind of situation in the NBA when they're going to come back, he was hoping for a late May restart. He's kind of pushed back off of that a little bit just because, there's a lot of things going on. We don't really know. But if you ever want to know where the NBA is thinking, Mark Cuban will be happy to let you know. Just a reminder that the Mavericks won the last NBA game of the season, so they want to crown the Mavericks the NBA champions. I am okay with that. I'll let you guys take the reins now. Is there any other sports news that you guys want to delve into?
What sports news?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, Levi, I thought that you would bring up, being a Saints fan, how the Saints set up their NFL draft headquarters inside of a brewery.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, I don't want it to affect them. I don't want Sean Payton in there drunk. But no, I mean, the way they've drafted the past few years has been really well. So, I mean, I guess this is the true test. can they survive in a brewery as their war room? And I think they can. And I mean, as far as like the season goes for them, I think, since, the Saints were robbed that year, everybody else is going to have their season robbed. I mean, you should just let the Saints be the champions and just move on with it and just ignore the next NFL season. I think that fixes all the problems everybody has. And everybody would be happy with that. And I'll mute everybody who doesn't agree with that.
I just realized the NFC South congregation that we have in here. Like, my goodness, if I could find me a Buccaneers fan, this place would be popping off. Yeah, I guess it is Devin at this point, following Tom Brady. But
Sean Payton recovered from coronavirus.
He did. It seems like, let's see, Sean Payton recovered. We know that, thank goodness, Charles Barkley doesn't have it, even though that test felt like it took like 2 years to figure out. We know that we believe the Lakers, they never named who it was or who the group of people were, but we know that Laker players that tested positive, they've recovered. I think there's a story about how the Nets players recovered. Marcus Smart is donating plasma for research. So there's good news coming out. There's some good news in these times that are coming out that give people some hope. It's just they're itching to get back to some sort of normalcy in society, whether that's I can go outside when I need to just do random things, or I can go hang out with friends, or I can sit down and watch sports. Because there's no sports, I mean, ESPN even moved up that MJ documentary to when is it going to appear? Like early April? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
2 weeks.
They moved up the MJ documentary, which people have been waiting for. It's going to be amazing. We all know. But they moved that up. ESPN is doing a 2K tournament with all these different NBA players. It's something new, but yeah, it's tough. So we're going to have to find alternate things to do. And so now that we've got to find alternate things to do, Amanda, I want to ask you a question, and I want you to take the reins on this. Why should I watch Tiger King? I keep hearing about this. I want you to explain to me why I need to watch this show. Wait, has anybody else watched it?
Yeah, I finished it last night, actually.
Okay, so no major spoilers. You can do minor spoilers that won't really ruin it, but I need you guys to explain to me why I need to watch Tiger King.
Okay, Jared. So basically, it is so crazy and outlandish that if I even said like one of the minor plot things that happen, you would be like, no, I'm not watching that, Amanda. But my take on it is that because it is literally so insane and so crazy, is that it ironically gives you sanity during these crazy times, because these like redneck Oklahoma zookeepers and their murder mystery sort of thing, because that's essentially what it is. It's like a murder mystery at the end of the day. Will keep you entertained. There's a lot of great Twitter and TikTok content about it, and I don't want you guys to miss out on it. But yeah, you can't really explain it. Like if I just said like one of the things that happened, you'd be like, wait, what? And I don't want to spoil anything, but you can't describe it. It's literally so insane. But the premise is it's this like zoo in quotes that's in Oklahoma that is on, if you drive from Dallas to Norman where OU is, you do pass it, because my friend goes to OU and was like, oh yeah, you see the sign. And he has all these like tigers, and his name is Joe Exotic, and
that's a weird name.
There's a murder mystery. I don't know, but you've seen all the things about like Carol Baskin like fed her husband to the tiger, and like what else is in there? Like he ran for like governor and like all this stuff. I saw this funny like Joe Burrow thing, and it was like a picture of Joe Exotic, a picture of Joe Burrow. And it goes, when your name is Joe, all your fans are crazy white people. You're surrounded by tigers, and you could have won the governor race in your state if you'd tried a little bit harder. So yeah,
I can't argue with that actually.
It's literally only 7 episodes. Like it is so good. I'm literally obsessed with it, and it will bring you peace because it's literally so crazy.
Is it 7 1-hour episodes?
They're like 45 minutes, so you'll go by them pretty fast.
Okay.
Just get through the third one. The third one is when it like takes a spin you're not expecting.
Oh, the third one where it pops off. Okay.
Well, it pops off at the beginning, but the third one it gets like real.
Levi, is all this accurate?
Yeah, every bit of it. I mean, I'm not going to take credit for saying this, but I saw somewhere where someone said the drug lord kingpin that's in the show is the most normal person on the show. The
Nice.
person who spent like 20 something years in jail, who
Nice.
lives in Miami, who's basically Scarface. He's the most normal person you'll meet on the show. So,
Or the other normal one is the like ammo guy from Walmart.
yeah, he's
saw
just like a
someone,
normal person.
And
The ammo guy from Walmart.
yeah,
Okay.
and then also that's the best way to describe is that like the normal people in the show are not normal. Like who else is like the best thing I saw on Twitter was the zookeeper with the long hair and the sunglasses. There's this scene of him pouring like gasoline like into I don't know, gasoline thing, like the portable things, while smoking a cigarette, and he was like, "Don't try this at home." But he's actually one of the most normal characters there, even though he just put his life at risk. But
It's
nice.
really good.
yeah.
You'll get sucked into it, and
Yeah, you'll
you'll
get
appreciate
really
all the
into it.
memes.
All right, so on my list of things to do, I have to watch Tiger King, and I have to watch a Star Wars movie in a certain order. And I believe it's what is it? It's Jack. Correct me if I'm wrong. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 is the correct order. Okay,
Correct.
so I'll make sure to watch it in that order because that's the best way to watch it. I've been told by Star Wars aficionados and experts.
Isn't that just the order they released in?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you never watched them in that order?
No, I have. I was confused why there's something special about that order. I was like,
I was asking if Jared had never watched them in that order.
Oh
I thought
no!
that was like-
The only Star Wars I've watched is 20 minutes of Rogue One for a paper I had to write.
I don't
but
see the
Rogue
option
One's
to take
like
somebody
not one
from
of
them.
them. It's like separate.
Like, so wait, so Star Wars 1, 2, and 3 were they not the first Star Wars that came out, or were they the second?
No, that's why it's confusing. That's why I gave you the order. They're prequels.
Okay. So 4, 5, 6 were the first batch of Star Wars that came out, and then they did prequels, which are technically 1, 2, and 3 that came out after those.
Right.
The prequel to the one that Samuel L. Jackson's in, Jared. That's all you have to remember.
Oh yeah, Sam Jackson. I know that guy. Snakes on a Plane. I get it. But in other words that I can't say on this show because I like my job. But I needed to know the certain order. Okay, so 4, 5, 6 came out first. 1, 2, and 3 are prequels they did afterwards. That's why you gotta watch 4, 5, 6 and then 1, 2, 3, because then it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then
because it's thematic.
And then 7, 8, and 9, which I know tears people apart. And then
Jared, just to remember, when they originally came out, they were not called 4, 5, and 6 because they were
I know.
the first ones to come out.
I know.
Well, Amanda, when 4 came out, it was just called Star Wars. But when Empire Strikes Back came out in 1979, it was called Episode 5 because George Lucas knew he was going to write prequels when he was done.
Okay, never mind. I'll stop talking about Star Wars while Jackson here.
Also, The Rise of Skywalker is not yet out on Disney Plus. I'm sure it's coming out sometime this month. I'm sure it'll be out by then.
So, also, let's see. So, there's also Rogue One. And then, where does Rogue One take place in the series? Is there a certain place?
3 and 4.
Yeah, if you want to watch Rogue One, you'll want to watch that right before you watch A New Hope Episode 4. So you can start with that one if you want.
And then, on top of that,
I wouldn't do that. I think that would confuse you.
would it? I mean, I already watched 20 minutes of it. I mean, at this point, it's whatever.
Yeah, you can watch it like after you're done, and then go watch Episode 4 again. It's a good double feature.
And
then if you want to watch Solo, just whenever. Solo's awesome.
So just pick up Solo whenever.
Yeah, pick up Solo when you want to have a good time.
Okay.
If you understand Han Solo and you just want to enjoy yourself, watch Solo.
That's a
Gotcha.
popcorn movie. It's good.
Okay. And then at some point,
How do you not watch Tiger King? Sorry to divert from Star Wars. Because Jack's
I've
on
been watching-
TikTok, and there's so much TikToks about Tiger King. I can't believe you haven't watched it.
I don't get those.
Jack gets specific content.
Mine
Okay.
are about Star Wars. I've been watching the new Clone Wars season.
Let's see. Where am I about to go after that?
Star Wars.
Oh, I was gonna ask about Mandalorian. Is that in a certain order, or that's just kind of its own thing?
That's very distant from the Skywalker saga. I would advise watching that whenever. That's a very good. I think that's probably the best thing that Disney has produced since they took over the reins of Star Wars.
Good. I know I gotta catch up on those. I gotta catch up on a lot of stuff. For some odd reason, I felt as though being quarantined inside your home, I would watch more Netflix and Hulu, and I haven't, which is weird. So that's a null hypothesis that I came up with.
Jared, you're watching Tiger King first.
Yes, I'll watch Tiger King first once I bother my sister for the Netflix password because it logged me out. So I have to go do that first. But once I get it, I promise you I will go watch Tiger King. And I have Disney Plus. That's all good. So that's our Tiger King. I just want to know about Tiger King, 'cause I know everybody's talking about it. And I saw that they reopened an investigation into a lot of that stuff recently because of the Netflix documentary, I guess. So I kind of just wanted to see who watched it and kind of get your opinions on why I should dive into that hole and be mesmerized by these people.
It's literally amazing.
So I'll make sure that I do that. Uh, any other news in sports right now that you want to bring up to the table?
Trying my
Anybody?
best to find some.
I know it's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard right now.
I mean, Tua said he was 100%, but
Would you draft Tua?
No.
Not
100%. I would 1,000% be so okay if he was there in the Saints pick or the Saints trade up. I'd be so
okay, because this brings up a good point for 4 of our 5 teams at this point. We have Saints, Colts, Cowboys, Falcons, Panthers. And we're all in a situation where maybe quarterback's not number 1 on our depth chart, but definitely for a future look, it is. Because Drew Brees isn't going to last for much longer. We know that. He may have 3-4 years, maybe, left in him. We know the Colts signed Phillip Rivers to a 1-year deal. We know the Cowboys in a situation with Dak Prescott. Will they get the money? We don't know. The Falcons, Matt Ryan's not getting any younger. And on top of that, the Panthers signed Teddy Bridgewater, but he may not work out. Tua was probably one of the more versatile quarterbacks in the draft. And if he didn't get hurt, he may have gone maybe as high as 2 or 3, and he still may go that high. But would you take the risk on drafting Tua after he said that he's 100% for your respective teams?
I'd probably say no because of the injury. It's just so high as far as his injury risk. I mean, getting hurt a lot in college, and he's not the biggest guy either. He's only about like 6'1", 6'2", which isn't huge for an NFL quarterback. He's shown that, of course, when he has played, he's had flashes of great moments. But I don't know, it's just too big of a risk to take because these guys in the NFL are bigger, stronger, faster. So there's a great chance he's going to get hurt again in the NFL, and it could be even a more severe injury than what he suffered last year. So I don't know. It's a big risk that I don't know I would take personally. Of course, there's going to be a team that's going to do it, but if you were to take that risk, you'd have to make sure that you have a great offensive line. Receivers could get open quick like they did at Alabama. Throw a lot of slant routes for Tua. And it's just a lot of kind of variables you have to have in place in order to get Tua into a perfect system. Because I don't know if he's going to be able to like slide into any system. So I think that a lot of things have to kind of fall in place in order for Tua to be a great NFL quarterback.
So just to divert for a second, I remember getting this update earlier this morning. It deals with the Saints and Colts. And other teams may jump in, but the Saints and Colts, or at least for me and Levi's situation, are meeting with Jordan Love via virtual meetings. So they're thinking about quarterbacks. And Jordan Love is a first round pick for somebody. So there's a chance. Well, for the Colts, they gave away the first round pick. But there's a chance that the Saints talk to Jordan Love and try to take him or something like that. Jack, for the Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater, hopefully he does well jumping into a starting position for the Panthers. But do the Panthers need to start looking for another quarterback just to kind of, just be ready in case it doesn't work out? Or do you trust in Teddy B?
I trust Teddy to hold down the fort for at least a year. The Panthers aren't contending this year, and I think that he's a decent enough replacement until they can find the direction of the offense at the very least. You got the new offensive coordinator coming in, and they picked up Pharaoh Cooper last week, and they just picked up Robbie Anderson today. So obviously retooling on the wide receiver front after losing a couple of guys to free agency. So I don't know. You got a lot of fresh faces in there, not only the offensive coordinator, but pretty much everyone on the offensive side of the ball. So you got a bunch of young guys, Teddy Bridgewater, Christian McCaffrey, Pharaoh Cooper, and Robbie Anderson, all there in the backfield. So for probably looking at last place in the division this year with Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay, the Panthers are making some very interesting moves with a new head coach, a third-year GM, a new offensive coordinator, and all these offseason acquisitions. Archer Candy.
Javon, from Matt Ryan, Matty Ice. I mean, he's a good quarterback. And I think the Falcons can stick with him for another couple of years. But, I mean, the clock's ticking, and they're going to need to find the future soon. Is Tua that future? Or maybe it's just a quarterback down the road?
Oh, I don't think he's the future in Atlanta because Matt Ryan, he's 35, I believe, right now. So I'd give him about 3 to 4 years as far as playing at a decent level before maybe hitting that cliff and thinking about retirement. The Falcons are going to replace him, but I don't think Tua is going to be the answer for them because he's going to want to play immediately or maybe even have like a redshirt year where he doesn't play at all his rookie year, then he steps into second year, a la like a Patrick Mahomes did. So I don't know if Tua is the perfect situation for the Falcons at the moment. They're set at quarterback. I feel like I said, Matt Ryan still has some years left in him. He's had some decent years post the Super Bowl run the Falcons had a few years ago. So I think for the Falcons, they need to not worry about Tua, even though he is enticing as far as his talent. But like I said, the injury risk is just too high for me or for my liking. So I think Falcons are set at quarterback for the next 3 to 4 years, I'd say, and they should not worry about a Tua Tagovailoa in this draft.
And finally, Amanda, because I don't know if the Cowboys are going to pay Dak at this point or not. I don't know what's going on with the whole situation. Dak should get the money. Let me step back for a second. I don't know if Dak is worth how much he wants to be or to be the highest paid quarterback. I'm not getting into that, but the Cowboys should keep him around because he does do good and he's developing little by little. But what do the Cowboys do for the quarterback position just in general? Tua may not be the answer, but what is the answer for the Cowboys at this point?
The answer right now is we just have to stick with Dak. He's literally only like 26. So when you like grouped me into this clump of like all these other teams that need quarterbacks, I was like, we are not in the same situation.
Yeah.
This all stems from, okay, I'm not like a Zeke fan. Never been or whatever. This all stems from him like doing his little fun holdout in Cancun. And then so because Zeke got paid, then Amari got paid, and now Dak's going to get paid. So it's a lot. We kind of have to free up some cap space, but like we're sticking with Dak. He's solid. The good thing about Dak is that he is like durable and dependable. Like he doesn't get injured. Like he's just like solid, and so I'm here for it. But no, Tua is not the answer to that. We have a lot of time with Dak.
I think the crazy thing for the Cowboys is when Dak, what I assume eventually signs that contract, look how much money will be tied up in Zeke, Amari Cooper, and Dak. Yeah. That is a lot of money. And yeah, I hope they can pay other positions such as their great offensive line, their defense. I think Sean Lee got an extension too. I believe he did. So that's, and you know, he's one of the best linebackers in the NFL, so he's probably worth a decent chunk of change as well. I don't know how the Cowboys have all this money, but they are throwing it around like nobody's business, and they're paying who they should pay. They got to pay Dak though.
Yeah. It's interesting because I just feel like they should bet on Dak more than Amari. I feel like they could have just drafted someone, again, because this receivers draft is so big and could have freed up a lot of space. But nope, they paid Amari. So I have a feeling that they're just sort of like coaxing Dak and like telling him like it's not going to be this year, but like you'll get it like later. Like I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, it's all Zeke's fault. This is the moral of the story.
It's all Zeke's fault.
Yeah.
I'll jump on that train.
Yeah.
Finally, with about 10 minutes to go, I wanted to go through this top 10 list. Bleacher Report came out with a top 10 list of hardest places to play in college football because there's nothing else to do, right? And I just want to get your guys' opinion on this top 10 list because I'll let you guys go ahead and know Auburn is mentioned in it. Where they land, I'll let you guys guess that. They first start with honorable mentions. Honorable mentions being Michigan State. Oh, I'm not sorry, not Michigan State. Wow, I really fumbled that one. Michigan Stadium, Michigan, not Michigan State. Ben Hill Griffin for Florida. Doak Campbell for Florida State. And Bill Snyder Family Stadium, the Little Apple, for Kansas State. Those were honorable mentions. Okay, they didn't make the top 10. You can
I just saw number 10.
Yeah, you can probably see who number 10 is, and it's gonna make a lot of us upset. Okay, Levi, go ahead and tell us what number 10 is.
It is Spectrum Stadium. Does anybody know who plays at Spectrum Stadium? Of course you don't. It's Central Florida.
UCF.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there you go, Jack. Look at that.
Home of the
Central-
Orlando Apollos.
Central Florida is number 10
What?
on the list of hardest places to play. Like,
Well, when you play nobody teams there 9 times a year, I mean, it happens.
so UCF is number 10. Joke's on us, Auburn's number 9 on the list.
Better than UCF.
Better than UCF, but dang it,
Finally.
they're right behind us again, like everything else, it seems like. Auburn is number 9 with Jordan Hare Stadium, which I'm glad Auburn's in the top 10, but that means there's 8 teams in front of them, and here are the 8 teams. At number 8 is Oklahoma, 7 Boise State, which, I mean, maybe, but also,
Perf. It confuses them.
Number 6, Ohio State. Number 5, Georgia. Number 4, Penn State. 3, Clemson. 2, LSU. And number 1, them boys from T-Town, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Just wrong.
Yeah.
It's just not correct. Like, yeah, they have a good team, but it's not
Tough place to
not
play.
true. No, there's no one there.
I think
There's
LSU
one
lost
good
it.
game day environment this year. They lost.
Jack's
mean-
really triggered.
I mean,
feel like LSU's the hardest.
He
Like,
makes
if
a
you're
good
gonna
point
make a
though.
list, be right.
Like for a team like UCF, okay, yes, they were 21-0. We get that. They won 21 straight games. But like, yeah, I mean, look at their schedule.
No, Bama shouldn't be on there. Sorry to cut you off. Because they don't even stay the whole game. Like, that is actually, I'm getting mad about that. Like, that is
Right. Like,
not.
I will never detract Alabama for what they do on the field. I'm not going to take away any credit for their wins, but it's not because they're playing in Bryant-Denny. They would have won every single game, one of those games at a neutral site. It's not they have a good team. It's not that the team. I mean, LSU definitely. You are helped by the fans there. Clemson definitely. Ohio State definitely. But I don't see Alabama performs just as well at neutral site, if not better than they do at home. And I'm a poorly sourced article, I'll say.
And A&M isn't on there. I feel like they should be on there.
Yeah, A&M
Field is freaking loud. I don't know if you've ever been there.
A&M is the one that I was kind of wondering, like, UCF and Boise State made it on there, but Kyle Field didn't. Like,
They literally yelled the whole game.
the 12th, it's the 12th man for a reason.
Yeah.
And you know another team that I'm surprised isn't on there? It's Mississippi State. And it's not because they sell it every game, but those damn cowbells.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how that doesn't drive anybody insane. But I'm surprised that Mississippi State wasn't an honorable mention at least because of that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think what Jack said was it holds really well because you have to separate just a team from being really good and it being hard to play. Because even when, I mean, just for example, since, we go to Auburn, even when we're not very good, we hang around in games at home that we have no business hanging around in because we're playing at home. And that happens with places like LSU. Alabama, when we've seen when they're not very good, they get beat at home. But when they're just a good football team. I feel like that the stadium isn't the big beneficiary from that. Like that's not what's helping them. They're just good.
So to kick it all off with college football, do you guys remember the article that came out yesterday detailing how in the past 15 years, Nebraska has paid the most to buy out coaches at like $28 million?
Yes.
Did you know who's number 2 on that list?
Us?
It's us.
Oh no.
It's us. from our great friend Nathan King at Auburn Rivals. While Nebraska paid $28 million, Auburn paid $26.2 million since 2005 to coaches that they just wanted to get out of there. Obviously, the two coaches that pop into mind are who may be now running for state. Well, he is running for it. He may win state representation. Tommy Tuberville and Gene Chizik, who won a national championship. So that's company that you want to, that's pretty good company. National championship winning coach and a state representative. But Auburn's shelled out some money to get rid of some of these coaches. And it's a very relevant discussion because for what seems like eons now, Gus Malzahn has been on the hot seat. And his buyout would have been substantial if Auburn tried to get rid of him. And so Auburn would easily eclipse Nebraska in that situation. Neither here nor there. Mm-hmm. Is that surprising that Auburn's at number 2? Because you think about it, it's like, well, Auburn has gone through, 3 coaches since, and you wouldn't think about, there's no way the buyouts for those contracts were, near what Nebraska's been doing. But when you think about it, yeah, Tuberville, pretty revered at Auburn, had a nice buyout. Chizik wasn't there for long, won a national championship. We were paying him up until, 2 years ago, I think, before that paycheck started running out. He still may be on the roll for all I know. So, yeah, it's a little bit surprising to see Auburn up there that high. But, hey, that's what you need for that 9-3 average lifestyle for Auburn that they always bring. So, or you go to that. Is there anything else before we get out of here for the day?
I miss sports.
You miss sports? That's all right.
I miss betting for entertainment purposes only. No exchange of money. That's illegal now.
Bet on the weather, Levi.
No,
that's what I need to start doing.
No, because yesterday I woke up to a tremendous downpour in Auburn, and then it was sunny, and now it's mid-60s, and this is the beginning of April. So I don't know what the weather's doing. You can't bet on that. Not even Vegas could figure that out.
Good. If Vegas can't figure it out, then I can make money.
It's also depressing that I realized when I looked at weather.com the other day? You know how at the bottom of weather.com they have precipitation chance, hourly weather currently. Do you know what the 4th box is now?
Pollen?
It's not even pollen. They replaced pollen with coronavirus cases in your area. And I'm like, wow. Talk about going to see the weather and just getting hit with that each day now. I guess it's important, but also, man, that's just the times we live in, I guess. You hate to see it. Well, anybody have anything else before we get out of here? Really, I'm just stalling because I don't want to take my exam that opens up in 1 minute.
Everyone watch Tiger King. Everyone text me about it.
All right, yeah, we gotta make sure we watch Tiger King. Apparently, it's balls to the wall, and I guess I could get ready for that.
It's only Corona that would make us come to this level where this is what everyone's talking about. It's so funny.
I guess we got nothing better to do in quarantine. Before we go, because I still feel bad about it, happy belated birthday to Amanda Warren.
Thank you.
For yesterday. How old are you now?
20.
Okay, you're getting up there. 20 years old, and eventually we'll get out of college and find a job. Here's hoping, right? Because once you get past 21, I promise you'll hit 30 like it's nothing. I feel like I'm 30, so.
Good, you're literally 24.
I know. It doesn't feel like it, though. So, for Amanda Warren, Javon Cutler, Jack Hart, and Levi Fitzwater, I'm Jared Doe saying thank you for joining us on Extra Point here on WEGL 911 and Eagle.